Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the S&P Sports Show. I'm your host, Sean Stewart. It is November 10th, 2022. Glad to have you on this wonderful program as we are going to begin. That's a lot of interesting stuff, by the way. So, the Lakers are not doing so well, which I'm not surprised, and we're also going to talk about Daniel Snyder. So, how are you doing, Mr. Paulus?
I'm doing good, Sean. Thanks for always having me on here. It's Thursday night. We got Thursday night football tonight. We got an interesting weekend of college football. Of course, we got NFL coming up this weekend. We have an interesting UFC fight going on this weekend. Could there be a new champion? Obviously, we got the big news about Daniel Snyder and the Commanders today, and who didn't see that eventually coming. And then we're going to touch a little bit about LeBron and the Lakers and, that sad show, which isn't really a sad show. It's a show of his doing to a degree. So let's talk about the Commanders, Sean, and today's filing by the Attorney General of Washington, D.C. against the Commanders, Daniel Snyder, the NFL, and Roger Goodell. This franchise is a mess, Sean. This franchise is a mess on all avenues: sexual harassment, stealing season ticket holders' deposits, and now today, luckily, fans have been getting letters if they had season tickets saying that they might be due a refund. Wow, how ironic. Wow, what a miracle. Oh my gosh. After complaining about it for like 4 years, they finally got a letter in the mail saying that they may be due for egregious refunds. Oh my God, Sean, it's a miracle. How did this happen? How did this happen? Not to mention, the biggest part of this is that the Snyders have hired Bank of America to look into selling the team, which could go for as high as $5.6 billion or more, they're saying, which would be higher than what the Denver Broncos went for. I don't think this is weird. I think the Snyders know exactly what they're doing, and they know it's time to get the hell out, and they're not going to win this battle. I don't care what dirt they got on Jerry Jones or Roger Goodell, or whatever, okay? You mess with too many people, bad things are going to happen. And, as my mama used to say, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen, okay? And we're at the point now where the kitchen has gotten too hot for Daniel Snyder, okay? And the league tried to hide this Lisa Wilkerson investigation from Congress, from other people that have sued them in sexual harassment allegations, employee harassment allegations, and lawsuits. Names were leaked inexplicably. It's not good. It's not good. The Snyders are... This is not good. They need to sell. And if selling is the antidote and some type of fines or something, or a huge amount of fines and restitution to all the people that they've hurt, and you know what? They're going to make their profit off selling this team in the end, right? Because what did they probably paid maybe like, the guys own the team for like 20 something. So let's say he paid like $800 million for the team, right? Or $900 million. So I'm going to guess that's probably what it was, right? I don't know what it was. I'm just taking a guess. He sells the team for $5.6 billion. He's made 5 times his money. Okay, and then after even he pays back partners and everything else, he's still going to walk away with a boatload, more than you and me and pretty much everybody else for the most part, except for whoever won the damn Powerball in California and a select few others are ever going to see in their lifetime. Okay, it's a bad situation. It's a bad franchise, up and down. And when new ownership eventually takes over, they're going to clean house. All the people in the front office are going to be gone. All the presidents and everybody, they're going to probably tear apart that whole organization, cheerleaders and everything. Top to bottom, it's gonna be gone. The only ones that might last is the hog band if it's still around. Those guys who dress up like hogs and play in the crowd. Those might be the only guys that make the cut. It's a bad situation, and this lawsuit, I think, is going to force the league to open up some things that they don't want, that owners don't want, because they're very secretive, and the Commanders don't want, and Dan Snyder's not going to be able to hide behind Congress now that the AG and everything's coming in. They're only going to be able to postpone and subdue so many things before they actually go to a trial. And everything's going to be open and available to the public this time. It isn't going to be like the Lisa Wilkinson investigation. Names are going to be out there. Information's going to be out there. Emails are going to get out there, be released and exposed. So I'm not shocked that it was... The other thing is, I'm not shocked that it was done, especially considering, some of the political climate in Washington, D.C., with midterm elections. And there were rumors that if Republicans get the House, that the Snyder investigation that was going on through the House committee might not happen any further. Who knows? So maybe this was part of it, of why they launched this at a more local level and a state level. I don't have all of those answers, but, just throwing things out there, with that. Now, let's go to the Lakers. Okay? Yeah. This is the same team as last year, essentially, with one or two minor differences. Patrick Beverley, who's looking like a fraud right now. This Lakers team is the same trash, and LeBron's already got groin injuries, and we're only 9 games into the season.
And he left the game.
And guess what? The Clippers smoked the Lakers again. I don't know what the Clippers' record is completely against the Lakers, like the last 3 seasons. It's like 13-1 or something. It's some crazy number. Okay, but the Clippers own the Lakers right now. I'm sure you can look it up, Sean. I think the Clippers are like 13-1 in the last 14 games. So I don't know if that groin injury was real or fake, because he just knew they weren't coming back. But then he's talking about Friday, but then he's gonna get the groin looked at, but it's not as bad, dude.
I think we may have lost them. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, okay. So the Clippers have a 37 record versus the Lakers since 2013 and 2014. Wow. That is unbelievable. I think we lost Anthony. Because I'm still here. Huh. Yeah, we may have lost them. So I still got the signal. So we may have lost them. So if you did not watch the game last night, the Clippers beat the Lakers. It was 114-101. Of course, I was watching college basketball last night, of course, because it is college basketball season. So we're waiting for Anthony Paulus to get back to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers getting lose again. All right. But anyway, we can do a commercial, by the way, and shout out to our friends at Nerd Focus. Get that commercial. And there it was, Nerd Focus. So if you watch it on video, scan that QR code. Now, if you're listening on the audio first, go to sportsforamerica.com and you will find the QR code for the Nerd Focus, and then make your purchase as well. All right. And also, the S&P Sports Show is brought to you by Super Draft Pro, which is the gaming of Caesars Entertainment. Super Draft Pro is available in all 50 states. So even though there's certain states you can't play daily fantasy, but this is the daily fantasy where it's more about gaming and be great for friends, family, and for charity events, all that other great stuff. So that is called Super Draft Pro. So once again, hop into our website, scan the QR code, or go on to superdraftpro.com/sports for America. All right, like we have Anthony Paulus, he is back. All right.
Yep.
So I actually
where do we leave off here? Where were we leaving off here?
The Lakers.
Okay. So let's talk about. Okay. So let's talk about the Lake. Let's get back to the Lakers talk. Okay.
Sure.
The Lakers cannot shoot the three worth a damn. They're probably last in the league in shooting the three. If you look at the Lakers, besides the bubble, how have they played?
They played bad.
Okay, before the bubble, they didn't make the playoffs. Then they won a ship in the bubble, and they didn't play that well before they went to the bubble that year. And then once they got out, they've played like trash. So outside of the bubble, they have not played well. Okay?
Exactly.
They don't defend well. And you know what? You could have had DeMar DeRozan. But the de facto GM chose Russell Westbrook over him. DeRozan wanted to go to the Lakers. He was pining for it. And LeBron said, no, I want Russ. DeRozan's balling in Chicago. You know what? It's probably a godsend that he went to Chicago, because I don't know if he would have. I think LeBron has that effect of dumbing down that teammates,
Right.
And they don't have anybody who can shoot the three. They don't have a good bench. Glass Street Clothes Davis is due for an injury anytime here. Okay? When he goes down, then they're going to have no interior defense. And I'm waiting for the LeBron injuries to pop up, and fake or not fake, and I got no faith in that, dude. And the Lakers, you know what? They're going to be a lottery team this year, and guess what? They don't own their first round pick this year.
That's bad news.
So guess what? You're not going to be in the French Riviera sweepstakes. The Victor Wembanyama street sweepstakes, you're not going to be in it.
And I actually got the stats for the Clippers and the Lakers. So since 2013 and 2014, the Clippers have a 30-7 record versus the Lakers. They're 30-7 since 2013.
Does it give that breakdown? Since LeBron has been in LA?
Yes, it does. Actually, it does. So
I think it's like 13-1.
So they played each other for the first time in January. Wait, you know what? December the 28th. So that was like 3 days after Christmas. That was when the Clippers won that game. So it was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like 9-4, something like that.
Okay, nine
Something
and
like 9
four,
4.
something like that. But I know it's some crazy statistic. I think, and I think it's more like 13. I think we're going like. I think that's like 2 seasons, including playoffs. I
Okay.
think I'm talking like since LeBron became a Laker before the bubble, the first game that he played. Well, I think it's like it's a regular season number. It's like 13-1 or something. I got to look it up. I saw it. It's some big number.
Okay.
The Clippers own the Lakers, okay? Like many other teams do right now. Okay? The Lakers are not going to make the playoffs, folks. Their best hope is that near the trade deadline they find somebody to take Russell Wilson and that $24 million and they can get something constructive out of it. Some
Good luck with
outside
that.
shooters would be a start. Some outside shooters. Because will a team want that expiring $24 million contract? I'm sure they would. Or will the Lakers just eat it and keep it for themselves? Which I could see them doing because technically then they'd have $47 million and to do what they want next season. Rather than taking back some junk, but then you got to find somebody who's going to want to play with aging LeBron and Glass Davis and a bench that doesn't have much. I mean, $47 million ain't what it used to be in the NBA. That'll get you like that'll get you like a starter and a bench player these days, unless you're able to pull off a star, but I don't know if the Lakers hold that power right now because who wants to play with an aging LeBron who's going to hog the ball? If they see what he did the Russ, but if they see what he did the Russ, who's going to want to come there and play with him?
Nobody.
Because he's locked in for this season and next year. So I don't think the appeal of playing with LeBron is that great. It's kind of like the appeal of playing with an aging Kobe Bryant. Nobody really wanted to play with Kobe those last 2 seasons, because they knew Kobe was still going to do it and he was getting old and aged and the Lakers didn't have all that talent, It's the same
like
situation.
Anthony or something like that.
Yeah, it's the same situation that happened to Kobe at the end that now is happening to LeBron. And the Lakers just aren't that draw right now. And the other thing is you know what? Players don't want to play in California as much because California has super high taxes, just like New York does. That's why players don't want to go to the Knicks, and players don't want to go to want to get out of California. I don't know why Kevin Durant went with the Nets. I can't figure that out.
You know, be Connecticut than it is with New York anyway. At least
you want to go to a team that has where you're not going to get taxed individually that high. That's why if you're a ball player, you want to play in Florida. You want to play, Dallas and Houston would seem like ideal spots because no state taxes in large cities and warm weather pretty much year round.
Tennessee, for example, if they don't have no state tax, if I'm mistaken.
Well, there's no, Memphis wouldn't be that bad, but I don't think it has that big city draw that Dallas and Houston, Miami. I'm shocked Miami just doesn't have more talent and attract more, the bigger fish. It had the big three, and that's great. I'm shocked they're not able to reduplicate that because of no state taxes down there. You know, it's a big city, nightclubs. There's so much to do. There's so much life,
Attractions and
you
stuff.
know, with that. And Pat Riley's still running the show down there, and Eric
Exactly.
Spoelstra, who's going to be Pat Riley 2.0, pretty
And
much.
he just went to
When
the Eastern
Spoelstra's
Conference Finals
done,
last season.
because when Pat Riley's done, Spoelstra's probably going to move up and become the GM and continue that tradition and run it. So, all right, we've talked enough on crappy basketball player teams, the Lakers, and Daniel Snyder. Let's get into the college football matchups for the week. And we
Exactly.
already know what the top four is. So let's start at the top. Let's start with Georgia and work our way down
Absolutely.
for
I'm going
matchups
to
this
do
week.
that. Absolutely. We're going to do that as my tablet is about to go up by okay, there we go. So the first game we said is Georgia will face Mississippi State. That's a 7 o'clock game. That's on a
That
Saturday.
Georgia should be able to win that.
Okay. Number two, as I'm looking to it, Ohio State plays Indiana. That game will be on ABC, or is it Fox? Fox, excuse me, it's on Fox.
Ohio State should be able to dominate that game.
Right. Then on look at number three, because Michigan will play. Well, Michigan will host at Nebraska. That's a 3:30 game. That's an ABC
Yeah,
game.
that's a home game for Michigan. I see a blowout. Michigan should be able to win this game, and Blake Corum should be able to further his Heisman candidacy. It's his. I honestly think it's his Heisman trophy to lose right now. As long as he gets yards and touchdowns these next 3 weeks, and they can somehow beat Ohio State, I think it's his Heisman to lose. Because if you look at the last three running backs to win the Heisman, Blake Corum is all on that line statistically. Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram kind of lines. He's all on those lines to win the Heisman Trophy. He's putting up those same kind of statistics. And he's leading a team to victories. If they go into Columbus and they win that game, he's probably going to win the Heisman as long as his statistics hold up.
Go up. It's crazy. Now, here's one I'm going to be really more watching this one. 4th ranked TCU will face against 18th ranked Texas. That's a 7:30 game.
Well, it's a big game for TCU because this is probably the highest rated team that they're going to play the rest of the season. The only way TCU is getting to the playoff is if they're undefeated. They got to win this game. They're underdogs in this game. Texas is definitely talented enough to beat them. But as I always say, Mr. 5-7, Steve Sarkisian is going to figure out a way to blow this probably. So the real question is, does Texas play up to snuff and play their game and is able to beat TCU? I mean, TCU is beatable. There's no doubt
about that, right?
You know, but TCU can also win this game also. I think Texas should be able to win this game. But I will not be shocked if TCU wins this game. If TCU wins this game, this will be a high-scoring game.
And they should be undefeated if they beat Texas. They should be undefeated for the rest of the season.
Well, they got Baylor, and then they'll have the Big 12 title game against somebody to be determined.
Oklahoma State. Who knows?
I don't know about Oklahoma State. They've gotten served. I don't think it'll be Oklahoma State. I don't even know who's in second right now in the Big 12.
We can check that out later.
I mean, it's kind of irrelevant.
So right now, Tennessee will be playing Missouri. That's a new.
That'll be a blowout. Okay. We can move on to the next one. That'll be a blowout.
Then I'm looking at number 6. Oregon will host 24th ranked Washington. That's a 7 o'clock game.
That's going to be a tight game because, as we saw, Washington smashed Michigan State. Okay?
Right.
And Michael Penix can throw the ball. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. Oregon should be able to win this game. But Washington is going to throw the ball.
I will be looking. I gotta see the
So
total
I
points for
expect a
that
lot
game.
of points and a lot of passing yardage.
I gotta see the total
Oregon
points
should
for that.
win, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I mean, they should win. I'll say they should win by like 10 points. They should. But, a couple turnovers, somebody steps up, plays some defense, we could be looking at a different type of game. I mean, Washington's capable of getting the win. I don't know if they will, but they're capable.
Gotcha. I
But
gotta see the
Oregon
total
needs
point.
to win this game to stay afloat in the Pac-12 title race with USC.
Then you also got 7th-ranked LSU. They'll head to Arkansas. That's a noon game. Could you see that as a trap game or no?
The way at the beginning of the season, Arkansas looked like some damn world beaters. But as the season's gone on, their play has gone down. I mean, they lost to Liberty last week. I'll take LSU. They got too much on the line, and they're riding high on confidence. Brian Kelly, other than the Tennessee game and the late snafu against Florida State, has done a tremendous job down there.
Then you also got USC. 8th-ranked USC will play Colorado tomorrow at 9:30.
Okay, that's a blowout. Let's move on. Colorado's trash.
Yeah, exactly. It's like no point even watching that.
The remnants of Mel Tucker. You're seeing it, folks.
Now, this one will be a late game. This will be on Fox. 9th-ranked UCLA will be hosting Arizona. That's a 10:30 game.
UCLA should be able to win that game and keep and waiting for their big showdown with USC, which I believe is next week.
Yes, it is. I want to say yes, it is. Yes, it is.
The loser of that game, it's tough love. You're not the winner of that game is in the driver's seat for the Pac-12 championship game.
Gotcha. Then you got 10th-ranked Alabama will face against 11th-ranked Mississippi because the game is at Mississippi. So that's a 3:30 game.
I think Ole Miss has a chance to win because they can run the ball. They are one of the best running teams in the country. They have a good mobile quarterback. I believe they're running for almost 270 yards a game, which is top 5 in the country. They can run the ball, and then they can throw the ball too. I can see a game just like last week for Alabama, very close down to the end in that game.
And
If Ole Miss wins that game, that sets up a battle against LSU, I believe. Or did they play already? They played already. Did they play? Ole Miss and LSU? I can't even remember.
All right, I'll check that out. I'll check that out later. 12th-ranked Clemson will host Louisville. That's a 3:30 game because you've been talking about
Clemson should win that game, but man, the ACC is trash. Clemson has already claimed the Atlantic Division side of the ACC, and they're most likely going to face North Carolina, who's also got one loss, and that ACC is just trash. But Clemson should be able to beat Louisville, but, who knows? After last week, maybe Clemson's been exposed a bit.
13th-ranked Utah will face Stanford. That's a 10 o'clock game on a Saturday.
Utah, let's move on.
All right. Then Penn State will face Maryland. That's a 3:30 game.
I think that game will be closer than people think, or it's going to be a complete blowout. Are we going to get the Maryland that played early in the season, or are we going to get the Maryland that's just been getting manhandled the last couple weeks?
That's an
physically outplayed, physically manhandled.
Go ahead.
I like Penn State in that game. I think they're going to just try to be physical with Maryland, just like Wisconsin was with Maryland.
Then you got 15th-ranked University of North Carolina will head over to Wake Forest because you said North Carolina does not play any defense. So I expect this to be like a high-scoring game between these.
This will probably be a very high-scoring game. And Clemson needs North Carolina to win. If Wake Forest wins that game, that is not good for Clemson in terms of national, somehow sneaking in to get the 4 seed, which is doubtful at this point, but that would probably just ruin it completely.
Then Tulane, for those of you that don't know, Tulane University will host University of Central Florida. That's a 3:30
That's
game
a
on
big game for both teams. That's a big game for both teams. I mean, like I said, Tulane's a pick 6 away from being undefeated. But Central Florida is not a bad team. That game can go either way. That's going to be a swing game.
Gotcha. Then you got 17th ranked North Carolina State will host Boston College.
North Carolina State should be able to win that game.
Gotcha. Then let me see. Oh, yeah, we did talk about Texas because they were 18th. I'm looking at number 19. Number 19 should be Liberty. They'll face against UConn. That should be a blowout.
They should be able to handle UConn.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting to see what the final score of that game is, because the only reason why I say this is because Michigan played UConn, and so did North Carolina State earlier this year.
Yeah, I want to see how many points UConn can score. That's the only interesting point. Next one. Notre Dame, 20th ranked Notre Dame, will head over to Navy. I believe that game is on ABC. Because it's in Baltimore.
What is that matchup again?
20th ranked Notre Dame will head over to Navy. That's a noon game. That's in Baltimore. That's a tricky one.
That is a tricky one.
Because it's not as you think it is, as many people think it is. I gotta look. Let me check the spread of that game, because that's a very great question. I want to see the spread of that game. Okay. Because that's very interesting. Let me check. Let me see the spread of that game. That is okay. Notre Dame. Oh, I found it. Found it. So right now, Notre Dame is favored by 15.
And Notre Dame should be able.
Right. That's why I want to check. I think that could be a trap game. Now let's go to 21st. I'm looking at the 21st. Look at that 21st. Oh, Illinois. 24th ranked Illinois will face Purdue. That's a noon game. I think we lost them again. Doggone it. If Anthony's here, okay. So we have 21st ranked Illinois will face Purdue. That's the noon game. Oh my goodness. This is what happens when you stay up late and do business with people. Let me see. I think we may have some connection problem, but it may be on his end. Let me see. Anthony, if you can hear me, you can come back. Okay, there we go.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So let's talk about Illinois. Illinois is 4-2. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Purdue, and Iowa are all 3-3 in the Big Ten West. But Illinois has wins over all those teams except for Purdue because they're playing them on Saturday. Then Illinois' got to go to Michigan the following week, and they're going to probably get curb stomped. And then they close the season out with Northwestern. Okay?
All right.
So, if Illinois doesn't win this game this week, they're probably not going to win the Big Ten West. And most likely, Wisconsin or the winner of Wisconsin and Iowa probably will. Okay?
All right.
So, this is a must-win game for Illinois. Illinois wins this game, They can probably just rest all their players against Michigan because that game's like a throwaway game. And then they can rest them up and have them completely ready to play Northwestern and beat them. And Northwestern's not good. Illinois should be able to beat Northwestern. Okay?
Gotcha.
So that game for if Illinois beats Purdue, I will not be shocked if they rest some guys, rest some starters, keep them out against Michigan so they can play Northwestern the following week to win the Big Ten West.
That'd be a great idea if I were Illinois. And we also don't know what's going to be the time for the next week game because
they announced for the Michigan Illinois game. They said it's either going to be a 12 noon or a 3:30 p.m. Eastern game. They won't announce it till after Saturday.
Yeah, because both games will be on ABC.
Yeah, because what I'm thinking is if Michigan and Ohio State both win this week, okay, that Ohio State and Maryland will be the 12 noon game next week, and the Michigan-Illinois game will be the 3:30 game next week.
Right, and plus
because more East Coast viewers, Maryland's kind of an hour ahead, they're going to get the East Coast love, so people want to watch them at 11, and then Illinois and Michigan will be traditional, I guess, 3:30 kickoff, in the Midwest. I can tell you that's what's going to happen. When Ohio State beats Indiana, Michigan beats Nebraska, that is what it'll be 11 a.m. on Fox for Ohio State and Maryland, and it'll be 2:30 on ABC or 3:30 at ABC for Michigan and Illinois. That's exactly what's going to happen. So when that wins, just go ahead and count on it. I know they're saying we're not going to announce till Saturday. There's no way that the Big Ten is going to allow its two premium teams to play against each other at the same time, and people are going to have to switch back. It's just not going to happen because they want the ratings and they want the viewers.
Last year of doing the Big Ten football, so just let.
So they're going to want that 2:30 game. So it'll be Michigan at 3:30. Just count on it.
Gotcha. 23 ranked Kansas State will head over to Baylor.
Kansas State should be able to win that game. Close. It's gonna tell me how good Baylor is in terms of matching up with TCU next week.
Gotcha. Then last but not least, 25th ranked Florida State will head over to Syracuse. That's a primetime game. That's an 8:00 game.
Syracuse has played like trash since their fourth quarter debacle against Clemson. That they were riding high and then they just lost it. And since then, Syracuse has played some bad football.
And
I'll take Florida State just because of it.
Right. And they're favored by a touchdown, so just letting you know about that part.
I'll take Florida State. Real quick, before we jump to the NFL, let's talk about this big UFC fight going on Saturday.
Okay.
In New York. If you want to go ahead and bring it up and talk a little bit about it, because this is kind of more foray, because I have my opinion on who's going to win the fight. The major fight.
I'm going to bring that up. It is UFC 281. And, of course, it is I want to say it's the Madison Square Garden, if I'm not mistaken.
It's in New York City. I believe it's at the Garden.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking of because, yep, it is at the Madison Square Garden. So, it's 3 title fights. I'm pulling it up. It is. I know it's more than one. So, actually, it's 2. It's 2 title fights. Let's talk about
the least one first. I want to talk more time about the big one at a second.
Okay.
So who's the other title match first before the big title match?
You want the big one or the co-main event?
the co-main event. I want to save the big one.
It's the women's strawweight, Carla Esparza and Zhang Will.
Carla should be able to win that, but we'll see. My main focus is on the big fight.
That's Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira. That's for the UFC middleweight belt.
Okay, so let's talk about the style bender. You know, he's only lost one fight in the UFC. Okay, and he had to move up in weight and lost against Jan Blachowicz. But he's fighting a guy who he's very familiar with. A guy who has beat him twice in other circuits. A guy who is physically bigger, physically stronger, and has even knocked Stylebender out. Now, they haven't faced each other in like 6 years or something.
That's interesting.
But this dude has been running through people in the UFC. Okay? I think we could have a changing of the guard on Saturday because, you know, when you have a fighter and then there's always maybe that one guy who's just a kryptonite for somebody, but you could beat everybody else, but that one dude just ain't your dude, you know? This is that dude for Stylebender. You know? I mean, I've watched some of his fights and, you know, he's talented and he's good, but nothing impressive. This dude he's fighting, I'm gonna call for like a TKO or a KO in like the fourth round on Saturday. I think Pereira's gonna win the championship on Saturday.
Oh, so he's picking an upset.
So I'm gonna go ahead and take the challenger for the title on Saturday. And we'll see if I'm right. What was that?
What did you say for the women's strawweight? What do you see?
Oh, Carla should be able to win that.
Okay,
but I'm gonna take Alex Pereira though to win the championship on Saturday night.
Okay, then you also got Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler for the lightweight, and then also Frankie Edgar and Chris Gutierrez.
I'll take Poirier in that fight. He needs it to get back into the title talks. I mean, if he don't win this one, then it's just the downward graceful fall for the guy. So he's got more at stake compared to the younger guy at this point.
Right.
All right.
Let's go to the NFL now, especially tonight's game.
Yep. Let's start it off. What do we got, Sean?
Well, this looks like it's not an interesting game. You have the Atlanta Falcons 4-5 against the Carolina Panthers that is 2-7.
The Falcons should be able to win this game. If I'm the Falcons, I'm going to run the ball, give it to Cordell Patterson, try to get Kyle Pitts involved. They played each other a couple weeks back. Kyle Pitts had some pretty good stats, about his only game this year he's done anything. And the running game for Atlanta is pretty good, and I expect them to keep running the ball. As for Carolina, they're coming off a nightmare blowout.
Against the Bengals, bad.
Has Paul Walker been exposed, and then they just truly got no quarterback play? Carolina's just awful. Atlanta should be able to win this game. Cordell Patterson should probably be able to get his stats. Other than that, I don't think I would trust anybody else fantasy-wise. If you're desperate at tight end, roll with Kyle Pitts. He might be able to put up a decent game for you also. All right.
I expect Koo to have some points.
Yeah.
But it depends on how big how is he going to get a big kick.
The running back for the Panthers might put up some points too. So, yeah.
Okay.
Nothing too exciting.
Exactly. Then you got the Seahawks and the Buccaneers. That's the 9:30 game. That game, I believe, that's in Germany. That's the first NFL game in Germany.
Yeah. I expect a game in the 20s. I think the corners are going to – I think Mike Evans' owners are going to be in for a rough day. At Seattle, it looks like they got some corners in the draft, and they're playing some pretty damn good football. Leonard Fournette might have a breakout game here. I like Seattle in this game for some reason. They're just running a hot streak right now. I love Tom Brady. I'm going to take Seattle 24-20. I think Tyler Lockett's going to have a day.
Then you also got the Detroit Lions coming off a win, and now you got the Chicago Bears that lost against the Dolphins on Sunday in a shootout.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. The Lions had their Super Bowl, and the Lions do not play well in Chicago. I think the Bears will win this one in an ugly 20-13, 17-13. Justin Fields will probably, get a bunch of running yardage. Might get a touchdown passing or two. The Lions got their Super Bowl. They're content. Last week was their Super Bowl. They won. I'm going to take the Bears in this one.
And it looked like someone actually made a comment, and it was James Liquist, if I'm saying your name right. And he says, Tom is done. Giselle took his talent.
That could be. That could be the case. I mean, the man is 45 years old. He doesn't have the arm strength that he used to have. That much is evident.
Then you also got the Cleveland Browns will face against the Miami Dolphins, and the
Browns will figure out a way to lose that game. It'll be a close game, and the Browns, I guarantee you, will figure out a way to lose that.
Then another game is the Minnesota
Cheetah
Vikings.
will get his points. Nick Chubb will get his points. Mari Cooper will get his points. But Mike Gesicki will get his points. But I expect that to be a very high-scoring game.
Then you got the Minnesota Vikings and the Buffalo Bills. We don't know the status of Josh Allen as of right now.
Josh Allen's playing. Is that game in Minnesota or is that game in Buffalo?
Buffalo. It's in Buffalo.
I'll take the Bills as long as Josh Allen plays.
Okay. Then you got the Jacksonville Jaguars against the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'll take the Chiefs. They're riding high right now.
Also, you got the New Orleans Saints and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think about the Saints in this one.
Yeah, the Saints should win that game. I think they've got the better defense, and the Steelers can't run the ball. I'll take the Saints. I think the Saints are a pretty good defensive team. Just not last week, but they were missing some key defensive guys last week. Gotcha. As long as those guys are back, they should be able to beat Pittsburgh.
Now, this one's kind of like a mind-boggling. You have the Indianapolis Colts that fired their coach, and now they're facing the Las Vegas Raiders. I want to take the Raiders on this one for some odd reason, because it seems like to me they got a better offense than the Colts. Because Colts offensively, you don't know what that Colts offense is.
I think that game's just going to be an ugly game. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to show up this game if he's healthy. This game is what I'm going to call ugliness. Devontae Adams will get his. Okay. Josh Jacobs will get his. The Colts got a good defense, but the Raiders, and the Raiders defense, and the Raiders have a tendency to be able to blow big leads this season. It's going to be ugly. I guess I'll take the Raiders in an ugly game.
Exactly. And he says, James Liquor said again, he said the Raiders will find a way to lose. One of those teams will find a way to lose. And that game will be played in our area. So
yeah, that game is probably a game whoever wins is because the other team lost. Yes, I would agree with that.
Okay. Next one, because Fox is doing a doubleheader. So the first one is the Cardinals and the Rams. This game is in Los Angeles. So it's like the second of the game of the week. This game is in Los Angeles.
It's going to be an ugly game. A game that the loser of this game is probably done for the season. I'll take the Rams because I think they're more desperate, and you know how I feel about Kyler Murray. So I'll take the Rams in an ugly game, like 21-16, something not pretty.
Then most of the country will see this game is the Dallas Cowboys will head over to Lambeau Field against the Green Bay Packers. Now, this one is very interesting, especially with the Green Bay Packers, because if the Packers lose this game, oh boy.
This is a must-win game for the Packers. This is pretty much a must-win. If they do not win this game, they're 3-7, and the season's pretty much over. In 2 weeks, you got to go to Philly. There's loss number 8 right there. So if you lose to Dallas and you lose to Philly, you have 8 losses. That means you got to pretty much win every other game left on your schedule to make the playoffs, maybe, and finish 9-8.
Then also the game.
I mean, it's. I want to talk about that game a little bit.
Sure.
Dallas should win that game. They're the better defensive team. The Packers have no wide receivers. And who knows if Aaron Jones is going to play.
Right.
The Packers lost their best pass rusher. Their offensive tackles are injured. Bakhtiari is, who knows if he's going to play. And you got to deal with Micah Parsons and that Cowboys defense. And you have no weapons other than Aaron Jones, essentially. You have Alan Lazard, who's probably going to get shut down by the best corner on. So who does Aaron Rodgers going to have to throw the ball to? Christian Watson, Sammy Watkins, maybe the tight end, Robert Tonyan might actually have a. He's going to probably have to throw the ball a ton to Robert Tonyan and throw the ball to the running back, Aaron Jones, and hope for some big plays. Because got to find somebody to make plays because Romeo Doubs ain't making them. Christian Watson ain't making them. Sammy Watkins ain't making them. Randall Cobb's hurt. The Packers are going to have to try to be able to run the ball and get Aaron Jones involved. If Aaron Jones don't play and Alan Lazard is probably going to get shut down, the Cowboys should win this game. It's going to be an ugly game. The Packers are going to have to win this game ugly in order to win. I'll take Dallas, but for some reason, something tells me the Packers are going to win the game somehow. I want to take Dallas, but something is telling me that something weird's going to happen, some type of ugly miracle, and the Packers will win this game. And then they'll lose to the Eagles couple weeks later, and then they'll win all the other games, and they won't win the division, but they'll sneak into the playoffs, and then the Packers will get destroyed in the playoffs.
The next one, we have the Chargers and the 49ers. Now, I believe that game was flexed.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, the only thing that's going to be flexing is Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers. I don't think the Chargers can win this game. Who knows? Keenan Allen probably isn't going to play. Mike Williams is out. Then you're without your top 2 receivers. The Chargers don't have a very good offensive line. Austin Eckler had a week last week, but that was against Atlanta.
Exactly.
Going up against a much tougher team this week in San Francisco. I'll take the 49ers.
And then also Monday Night Football, you have the NFC East rivalry, the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles. The game is at Philly.
I'll take Philly. I think the Commanders are playing better football with Taylor Heineke rather than Wentz being there. But I think the Eagles are just going to be too damn much for them.
We can do our Super Bowl NFL player props. By the way, as I said before, Super Draft Pro is available. Super Draft. And Super Draft Pro is available in all 50 states. So you can go on to superdraftpro.com/sports, the number 4, America. So we're going to do our player props for that as well. All righty, so here we go. As I'm about to load it up. Okay, there we go. So, according to Super Draft, they believe that Marcus Mariota will have 14 and a half completions.
I'll take that against the Panthers. Yes.
Okay. Tyler Agler, 39 and a half rushing yards.
I'll say yes.
Okay. Cordell Patterson, 62 and a half rushing yards.
Yes.
Okay. Drake London, 38 and a half receiving yards.
Oh, his stats have really gone downhill the last couple weeks.
Because he did hit great in the other weeks, though, but he's been kind of trending down.
And he's going up against J.C. Horn. I will say no.
Okay. And then P.J. Walker, 166 and a half passing yards.
Man.
No.
I'm going to be honest with you. These are ones I probably would not bet on. No offense. But the Super Draft, because I love Super Draft. Right. I will say no. But I would not play those props. But there's probably a lot of other props I would play. But not that one.
I got another one. Dante Freeman, 61 and a half rushing yards.
Yes.
Okay. That's why I say I got another one.
That one I feel much more confident betting on.
You don't know
that Paul Walker one. I mean, if he plays bad, they could bench him at halftime and throw Baker's scrub butt back out there. So just avoid it.
I don't think nobody in our league has Baker Mayfield. Thank goodness.
Well, you might pick him up. You never know. Right. You should pick him up the week we play each other.
Right. Very funny.
Well, hey, Sean, I'm giving you some good advice here.
And also, there's something's going on. ESPN 30 for 30 is doing a documentary about the pool player on the 13th. I forgot about that.
Oh, are you talking about the Black Widow?
Yes, I am.
Oh, Jeanette Lee, I've met her once. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I met her about 15, 16 years ago at a pool hall here, Yeah, in her days, she was smoking hot, She still is for 50-something. She's still pretty damn hot, Just kind of like Sade is to me at age 63,
So it's called Jeanette Lee versus. So that's what the ESPN 30 for 30. And then they have.
When does that drop?
On the 13th.
All right, that's Sunday night. So I've got that to watch. And the new 2 hours of Yellowstone on Sunday.
Oh, great.
And the new Sylvester Stallone mob show, Tulsa King, debuts that night also.
And they also have another one. ESPN 30 for 30 has another one. It's called Bullets of Baltimore. That's about the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. I can't wait to see that one.
Bullets of Baltimore?
Yes, that's about the 2000 Baltimore Ravens when they went to
Bullets of Baltimore. I thought when you said Bullets of Baltimore, it was going to be about the Washington Bullets.
Bullies of Baltimore. Excuse me.
Okay. I was like, Bullets of Baltimore. That sounds more like a basketball documentary.
Bullies of Baltimore.
Before they went to the sissified Wizards.
Right.
Because they used to have some. I always have an affinity for those USA red, white, and blue striped Washington Bullets jersey.
Right.
That'd
be a great question. Which team do you like better, the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens? That should be a great poll question.
I'll take the Bears.
Right.
I'll take the Bears. I mean, yes, they had Jamal Lewis on that team, but that's all they had. The Bears had a lot more completeness, I think. Similar, but I think the Bears were more complete.
And also, you can follow the S&P show at facebook.com/Stewart and ANDP. And you can also listen and subscribe to the S&P Sports Show on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and Apple Podcasts. So there you have it. So you guys have a nice and wonderful evening, as we are going to be watching Thursday Night Football on Twitch or Amazon Prime.
Yep, go pick up Baker Mayfield the week that you play me, Sean.
I will do that. And don't forget about next week, because World Cup is about to...
World Cup special on Tuesday. That is our World Cup special. We have a special guest who's going to be covering the World Cup in Qatar. Exactly. And we're going to talk a lot of things. It's pretty much going to be a soccer show. We might talk a little bit about the weekend in college football, quick NFL real quick, and then we're going to jump right into the World Cup. Most of this show is going to be the World Cup, so if you want to get educated on soccer, here are our picks. We'll talk Team USA. We'll talk a little bit of Team Mexico. We'll talk about the perennial teams, players that maybe you never heard about that might jump out, the normal studs that are going to be out there, and then our picks for winning the World Cup and maybe who the player of the tournament is going to be and who the Golden Ball winners is. That's the guy who's going to score the most goals in the World Cup and who we think's going to win the World Cup, and maybe who's going to flame out early and who might be a dark horse surprise. So stay tuned. I think it's going to be a really good soccer education show for some of you, into this weird time frame for a World Cup. So it's going to be really interesting. So definitely check it out on Tuesday night, everybody. It should be a dandy.
All right. You guys have a nice and wonderful night, and I'm out of here, and we're out of here.